Hey, how's it going? How you been? What's scrapnin'?
The weekly scraps, motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly scraps, episode 56. Did I get that right? Yeah, episode 56. Crazy. This is our last upcoming card of the decade. Wow. A decade. Not the year. A decade, in case you don't know what that means 10 years. 10 years. This is kind of crazy. This last card coming up is in Busan, South Korea. Frankie Edgar taking on Korea Zombie in a very short notice fight. Really looking forward to see how Frankie does in this one, going back up to 145 after trying to make his ascension down a weight class to the bantamweight division like Jose Aldo just did. But before we get into anything, man, this fight card, UFC 245, was phenomenal. From top to bottom, all, I would say, relatively all competitive, all really good fights. Some interesting turn of events, for sure, for lack of better words. And I just found out someone actually doesn't like me for the first time. This isn't the Ultimate Feelings Championship. This isn't the Ultimate Friendly Companion Championship. It's the Ultimate Fighter. Ultimate Fighting Championship. I'm not here to really make friends in my weight class. At the end of the day, we're here to knock each other out, choke each other unconscious, and so on and so forth, and make money. So that's all I really care about. So at the end of the day, don't really give a shit if people don't like me in the weight class. I'm not here to win you over as a new bestie. It's not what I signed up for. And if that's what you guys signed up for, I don't know what to tell you. You're shit out of luck. Because I don't really give any more fucks. I don't got a whole lot of fucks to give about that one. But it is what it is. Man, what else do we have? It's been a wild week. Got the cast off. I'm actually, rocking without the cast, trying to work my range of motion. So this is pretty much all I can do. I can flex up pretty good, but I can feel the locking. See, that's... I don't want to overforce it, but, I got to slowly but gradually work those muscles and break up that scar tissue so I can finally get going, rebuild the strength, and then I look forward for a great return, and we'll see what happens with the division by the time I get back. See if Henry's going to actually sign a fight with somebody. Are they going to strip him of the title and go from there? This week I haven't really did much training. I worked out once last week. That was really it. Kind of hung out. Just because I had the surgery and my arm was relatively sore, I didn't really want to push it too much with the fresh stitches in here. I still got the stitches sticking out of my hand. It's pretty gnarly. Got 3 stitches down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I don't know how do you count the stitches. I know it goes one across, one going across the other way. I don't know if that counts as 1 or 2. Because if it's 2, then it's a lot more than 4 stitches. It's a lot more than 5 stitches. Actually, 3, 4. It's a lot more than 7 stitches. But the shit looks pretty crazy. But it is what it is, man. I'm itching, man. I posted a clip on my IG today from training probably about 2 weeks ago now, where one of my good friends, Enoch Maurice, was out here. He was recording for me, and I got to work a lot of my footwork, my shadow boxing, working my angles, and just really channeling my hips into my punches and my strikes. And I'm hoping that I can really emphasize that with this time off, so that when I come back, that would be the new added element to my game. I haven't fought since June. It's over 6 months now at this point. So, I'm hoping that I can make some strides in that department, because I think that's the next wrinkle of my game. If I can really put some authoritative power behind my strikes, I think that's going to add a huge addition. Even in my last fight, and even the one with Rivera, those guys got some solid chins, because I cracked those motherfuckers pretty good, and they kept coming. So maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just these guys just got good chins, and I just got to find a good spot that could eventually put somebody away. Now let's get into our weekend rewind. This, like I said, man, there was no shortage of good fights on this card. We had the UFC coming over. They recorded it. We had a good time. We got a little lit, got a little turned up. So it was a very, very exciting and interesting fight pass. And there wasn't one title fight. There was three. Trey. There was that was like our whole running joke, because they said, can you guys just make sure you emphasize that there's not just one title fight tonight, there's three. And I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this. We just went nuts with it, just constantly bringing it up, and that was fun, a little inside joke. So when you guys do see that on UFC Fight Pass, you guys will understand what the hell is going on, and not just thinking like we're all crazy people just constantly saying there's not one, there's not two, there's three title fights. Okay, so Brandon Moreno gets the win over Kai Kara-France. This was a great fight, 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28. I didn't agree with the 30-27. I thought France at least won one round. But it was a very, very interesting fight, because I thought Moreno was the better grappler. And I said this, and I even said it before the fight started, before they start recording everything. I go, I don't know if you guys watch this very often, but this guy's striking is not very good. I mean, it's competent to get him to where he wants, but he's not like, you're not going to see this guy and be like, oh, Moreno is a high-level striker. But in the fight with Kai Kara-France, he looked so good, so composed. I was really, really impressed with him and the improvements that he's made. And with that being said, I definitely had to put some respect on that man's name and let everyone know, like, Brandon Moreno definitely turned a new leaf. And he looked good, man, for a guy who got cut after the show. You know, he had a couple fights in the UFC. He had the fight with Louis Smolka, got the finish over him, over a higher-ranked opponent. Came back, shit the bed. I believe he was cut. Came back cut for a short stint. Came back and really, really starting to turn heads. And getting a win like that over Kai Kara-France, that's a huge one, especially to keep him in the good graces and keep that ever-growing UFC flyweight division intact, and letting the UFC know, like, yo, these guys, they come and they fucking fight. They bring that shit. So super excited about that for him. The next kid, the 20-year-old phenom, Chase Hooper versus Daniel Teymur. TKO round one. And it wasn't really elbows, man. It was like a mounted triangle, then elbows. So he smashed him up, something pretty serious. I'm surprised that's recorded as a TKO from elbows. I mean, he did strike him, I guess. But let's be honest here. The whole reason the fight ended up in that situation was from his ground and pound via his grappling game. Now, Teymur did a good job defending. He picked him up with the anaconda choke off of his feet, clean off of his feet. Looked like he was about to get the young 20-year-old out of there and let him know that there's levels to this grown man strength. But sure enough, Hooper was able to push off the cage. His long dangling legs was able to find his balance back on the ground, and he was able to maintain his composure even through that tough time. And I was really impressed with that, because I thought, sure enough, that fight was going the other way. I don't know if we have a clip of it, but the way he stepped over into the mount, from the mount, and then transitioned into that mounted triangle was nothing short of impressive. And I got excited just watching that. I can only imagine Matt Serra when he was watching that, because it was phenomenal. That's high-level stuff right there. Teymur looked like he was about to get him out of there early. He comes back. He weathers the storm of a very tough Daniel Teymur, and who's a veteran who with multiple fights in the UFC. This 20-year-old phenom just comes out of nowhere, survives, daddy long legs, and weathers the storm, and eventually gets the finish in the first round. And it starts talking about freaking M&Ms. I was like, this is my kind of guy. This is my kind of kid. The funny thing about that was Ben Askren tweeting, he was tweeting to him and telling him, congrats, son. And then Hooper goes, thanks, dad. And I didn't get it at first, and I was like, wait. I looked at the image, because I think it was ESPN MMA. They posted it side by side. Ben Askren's tweet with Hooper like getting up, celebrating. And I saw the hair, and I said, wow. That went right over my head. And I mean, a couple of seconds later, I then realized what was going on. I was like, oh shit, this looks like 100% like he could be Ben Askren's son, no doubt about it. And he had great grappling to go with it to boot, so that's probably another good comparison for that one as well. So I'm excited to see how this kid develops. His striking, I'm going to say he ate a big bomb. He tried to say it didn't hurt him, but other than that, I don't think his striking is that great right now. You can tell he's more proficient in the grappling department, which I'm okay with. He's 20 years old. He's got plenty of time. Kind of reminds me of a young Sage Northcutt, but the opposite. Grappling wasn't so proficient. It was more rudimentary versus his striking. Sidekicks, karate style background. Really strong, athletic, good-looking kid. And now we got Hooper, young, kind of athletic, I'm going to say. I guess you got to be somewhat athletic to pull off the shit he's pulling off, right? Maybe not the best good-looking kid in comparison to Sage Northcutt. No mo. Pause. But why am I even talking about this again? Just saying, he's got a very high ceiling. They had another guy come in like Sage Northcutt who had a high ceiling. Things didn't really pan out. The UFC let him go, but I think Hooper, they're really sold on him and his potential development. If he could get his striking underway to get anywhere near close to his grappling, this kid's gonna be a freaking problem for a lot of people in that featherweight division because he's super tall, super lanky, and can grapple off of his back, and that's a dangerous opponent. Next up, Matt Brown versus Ben Saunders. Crazy elbow, second round finish. Ben Saunders had him in a lot of trouble early in that first round with the rubber guard stuff. Had him trapped up, tied up. You thought the fight was going to potentially be over, but Matt Brown was able to maintain his posture to a certain extent, keep the carotid arteries open so that he was never really in any significant or immediate trouble. And in the interview, he also said, he was okay. He just had to make sure he didn't make a silly mistake and end up making the choke tighter or put himself in a situation where that choke could have actually put him out. So he did good like that with that, and he's a veteran for those very reasons. And to see that he's still around, still fighting, still competing with these guys says a lot. Albeit Ben Saunders is also a veteran, older dude in the game as well. It's still impressive what Matt Brown has been able to do of late in his career. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him next. I'm a big, who's not an Immortal fan? He's still around. He's the Immortal for a reason. And he's still beating guys up, still putting them away. So I'm super excited for him and seeing what he's going to do in his next time out. And he had the great Mark Coleman in his corner. How good is that? Vintage ground and pound guy right there. Old school wrestler. UFC old school pioneer right there. What's next? We had Irene Aldana come back with a ridiculous KO in that first round, the end of the first round. And it looked like Vieira was doing very, very well with the striking, very, very competitive. But for the most part, I thought she was winning the exchanges. And she comes out of nowhere and puts her lights out in the first round in a very vicious fashion. The women's bantamweight division, I think, has another top contender for them to be concerned about. So now there's going to be some more. Well, this could be a good challenger for Nunes. So we'll see where she goes from here. I can't remember how good her grappling is. And we saw Amanda Nunes, if she can't put you out with those big punches, she could take you to the ground and she could ground and pound you and beat you up or submit you down there. So I'm super excited to see how her next fight goes with Aldana. Geoff Kneal, Mike Perry, head kick KO 1 minute 30 seconds into the very first round. Jesus, oh my Lord. Now, I did not expect this to go down like that. I thought Geoff Kneal would have the edge in the cleaner, more technical striking. I thought Perry would have had the edge in just being a straight up fucking savage and a beast and would just go forward and walk through everything. Sure enough, we realized Geoff Kneal showed us that savagery isn't everything. Technique is also a very big part of the game. And the way he was able to sneak that head kick in there, flush, crack Perry, had him rocked early, and did not let him off the hook. That shows major composure and major experience at a high level. And I know he said he wasn't really trying to call out the top names, but bro, you're fucking there. I think the UFC knows you're there, and I don't think they're going to abide by your wishes and give you another, I don't want to say easy fight, but another lower tier matchup. They're going to throw you into the shark pit now with everybody else. So now you're going to have to start really, really showing what you can do with these other high-level guys. The Ponzinibbio's, the Vicente Luque's, the Wonder Boys, the even Anthony Pettis, if he decides to stay up at 70. We're going to see what he does with his next fight out. But I'm super excited for Geoff Kneal. I think he's a super tough dude. And for him to be able to go out there and do that to Mike Perry like that, no one's ever put Perry away like that. That was different. And it shows how good and precise he can be with his power and his kicks, his punches, everything. You know, I thought Perry, like I said, I thought Perry was going to be able to stifle him a bit, you know, push him back, drag him into like a clinch affair. And it looked like he was like pressuring him pretty well until obviously the head kick came and it landed, and that was pretty much all she wrote once Geoff Kneal followed up. Now we got our main card. First fight on the main card, Petr Yan versus Uriah Faber. What a great fight. The bantamweight division has never been better than it's ever been today. We have so many guys in the top 10 that can compete with anyone in the top 10, and anyone could win on any given day. That's what I'm most excited about. You got all these young guys. It's not an old fossil weight class. These guys are young. Everyone is young. I'm 30 and I still feel like I'm really young, but at the same time, 30 in terms of the number, I feel like it's on the older end of the spectrum with the way the UFC has been shifting to signing more younger fighters of late. So with that being said, it goes to show that we're going to have guys that can continuously fight with each other for years and years to come, and we're only going to get better. The younger guys are only going to get better, and I'm super excited because the people who are the 21 hoopers, 21-year-olds, the Macy Barbers, when they start getting older, and by the time they get to 30 years old, dude, their star power is going to be ridiculous. They're going to have probably 25, 30 UFC fights under their belt. So it goes to say a lot right now to have all these young guys who are now at the top of the echelon competing with each other. And we're not even talking about the guys who are still slingshotting each other, you know, like the Wild Wild West in the top 15, outside of the top 15. There's still a lot of promise and prospects. And now, just to get back to the fight, Faber comes out first round, looks great. I don't want to say phenomenal, but looked great. He landed a nice knee up the middle that a lot of us thought really, really landed flush and hurt Petr Yan. After going back and watching the replay, it didn't look like it landed as cleanly as we thought it did. But either way, it got Petr Yan's attention. It got him to give him a little bit more respect. But then that respect slowly but surely disappeared. Petr Yan continued to put the pressure on him, and you could tell he just had a disrespect for Uriah Faber's power. Eventually, the fight out of the first round, I think Petr Yan, it was a close round, but I thought I still kind of gave it to Petr Yan. Because I thought he still dictated the pace. He still landed some big shots when he was landing those strikes off the break from the clinch. And then the second round comes around. Now, Petr Yan makes a nice adjustment. Now he's pressuring him. He's landing more combinations. He's going in the clinch. He's foot sweeping. He's following up with a knee to the body. And then he's exiting the clinch with a cross on the break. And then he switches over and he goes for a elbow off the break. Now, it wasn't the first time he used the elbow. It was multiple times he used the elbow. So I got the clip right here, 38 seconds. We're watching the highlights. Let's just go to even the first round. About a minute left. Okay, he lands that big knee. Now we're in the second round. Now Petr Yan and Faber are standing right in front of each other 2 minutes and 25 seconds into the second round. And they're smiling. Petr Yan's got the grin on his face. And in my head, I think he's like, and I heard DC calling this, Faber can't continue to fight Yan's fight. He's fighting Yan's fight. He got to stick to his game plan. He was right. Yan is grinning like the evil, the evil grin, the evil laugh. And you could tell like he's got this mischievous plan up his sleeve. And sure enough, he does. He sits in front of him at 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Yan lands a jab, right hand tight to the chin. And as he lands a jab, right hand comes, fires off the chin like a fucking rocket missile. Boom, down the pipe. Cracks Faber. Faber's hands are out. His head is turned to the right. And then he sets his feet again, Jan does. And he loads up from the southpaw position. That shows you how hard he threw that right hand. 1, 2. All his body weight fell forward. Now he's southpaw and he fires off another rocket missile from the southpaw stance. And this one sits Faber right down on the ass when it lands and connects on the chin. Faber is on his butt looking up as Peter Yan is staring over him. Celebrating. Now he tries to get him out of there. Faber does the right thing, turtles up, covers. He's blocking the punches underneath with his hand. And then this is the one that was beautiful to me. 1 minute 45 seconds left in the second round. They're in a clinch. Faber is overtying. So he's overtying with his right hand. This is my left. I can't really bend my right hand. But he's overtying, collar tying. So they're in a clinch. Peter Yan's got his left hand on him. Faber's taking his right hand. He's coming over the top of Peter Yan's head. He's overtying. He's pulling him in tight. They're almost ear to ear for the most part. Yan takes his right hand. He finds Faber's face. It's almost like watching Bird Box. Boy, girl, boy, girl. He finds his chin. He lines him up, and it's almost like he's rubbing it and he's caressing it. And as they're about to break, he pushes off, he loads up. And a right elbow from hell claps Faber, sits him down. He follows up again. Faber has managed to survive until the third round. Keith Peterson decides to let the doctors in. Doctor comes in, wipe him up a little bit. You know what? Faber is showing that, he still wants to fight. It's not really affecting his vision as of yet from what we can tell from the outside. The ref lets them continue fighting. The doctor lets them continue fighting. We resume now. We're in round 3. 4 minutes and 22 seconds in. Peter Yan again in the clinch. This time, right hand underhook. Left hand controlling Faber's wrist. His left hand is controls Faber's right wrist. He takes his right leg. He foot sweeps Faber's outside leg, which is his left, from the clinch. Faber's off balance. His head is down. He lines him back up, picks him back up. Yan grabs the head with the right hand. He hits a switch. You guys got to watch this again in slow motion. So as he lines him up, foot sweep, he grabs the head. He hits a switch. Switch knee. Faber gets his head back just in time. Just in time to catch the punt end of the foot, which sends him back down to the canvas once again for the third time. And that was all she wrote. And they say, man, that kick didn't even look hard. It wasn't intentional. But Peter Yan threw it saying, I'm going to hit something. Something. I don't give a fuck what I hit. I'm going to try to knee your head off. And since he's just that savage that he's just like, I just want to connect with something. I don't give a fuck what it is. As long as something connects, I'm okay. Faber doesn't see the foot coming. Who's thinking to, you avoided the knee. No one's thinking, oh, there's a foot that's coming behind it as well. No, we don't think like that. The foot comes up, slaps him, sits him down. Faber loses. He goes limp for a second. And it's crazy because the foot didn't look like it had that much power and speed on it. But like they say, man, he's already hurt. And the strikes you don't see are the ones that do the most damage. And that was all she wrote for that fight. Next up, even before that, man, congrats to Peter Yan. That was a great fight. I do still think he beat up an older guy. I would like to see how he does with a guy like myself or Corey Sandhagen or even a Marlon Moraes. And even now, Jose Aldo. Aldo's a lot younger than Faber. Faber's 40. Aldo's 33. We still have some pretty good lions in the division. Rafael Sunsao, Cody Garbrandt, and possibly even TJ Dillashaw when he comes back next year. And even Henry Cejudo. I still don't think a win over the number 12 ranked guy should give him a guaranteed title shot. Marlon's still number 1. I'm number 2. Sandhagen is 3. And Peter Yan, I believe, is 4. So, 4 or 5. So, I'm looking forward to see what happens with him next. But But other than that, man, congrats to him. That was really an impressive fight. And the whole debacle with him and Cody Garbrandt, you couldn't really hear the audio, but it sounded like to me, Peter Yan was saying, like, what was that stuff you were saying to me in the message? And that's what I think I heard, because I saw like a couple different angles, and some of the audio was a little bit better than some. And I kind of made out those words, and I was like, he probably did to him what he did to me. What Cody Garbrandt did to Peter Yan is probably what Cody Garbrandt did to me when he slid in my DMs and talked some wild tough boy shit. Maybe that's what he did, and Peter Yan didn't like it. It is what it is, man. We're in a fight game. Like, again, this is not the ultimate friendliest competition, companionship. It's we're here to fight. So if he's trying to get in his head early and let him know, like, yo, I'll touch your chin, then, it is what it is. But I like how the whole exchange went, and then, Cody didn't back down, and Peter Yan definitely didn't back down, and Peter Yan at the end, his broken English makes it even better when he's like, all you do is blah 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 blah, you just blah blah blah, you are blah blah. I was like, yo, I don't think he realizes how funny that really is in the American language to hear that. It's kind of funny, but it is what it is. I'm excited to see what happens though for him in his next fight, and hopefully, I did call him out. And if I'm not gonna get the title shot, or if they're not gonna defend the belt, then maybe him and I could fight for an interim or some shit like that. We will see. Next up, Marlon Moraes versus Jose Aldo, split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. I thought the decision was wrong. Couple things. Aldo answered a few questions for us. His cardio did not fade. He looked a bit fresher than Marlon Moraes. He did not look depleted at 135 after rehydrating. He ate shots just as well as he did at 45. And possibly better because the guys are lighter. They're smaller. They don't carry as much body weight behind their punches as a featherweight does when they rehydrate. Maybe he's been a bantamweight this entire time, and he's just been great at 45. And now we're just now getting to see him have a new crack at the bantamweight division and see how well he stacks up with everybody. And I think he answered that he stacks up just fine. He did a great job utilizing his slips and his boxing to get inside on Marlon, utilizing a stiff jab multiple times. Marlon a couple of times hit a couple of good double jabs, single jabs, and even one time a triple jab. I'm not sure if all three jabs landed, but he threw a triple jab combination, and all good stuff from both men. I was really, really impressed by the pace of the fight, and I was actually surprised that it looked like Marlon was more so trying to coast out the third round, the first half, to keep his battery intact long enough to finish the round strong. So now, it's a great strategy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. At the end of the day, we're fighting for 15 minutes, 25 minutes, or less. And in that time frame, if you cannot get a finish, you need to make sure you have accumulated enough damage on your opponent so that the judges and the fans can see that you are the clear-cut winner. And usually when you don't do a good job at that, you end up with situations like this, a split decision. When they were going to the center with the referee looking ready to grab their hands and announce lift the winner's hands after Bruce Buffer announces the winner, Marlon had a look of concern in his face. Aldo had a look of certainty. He felt he won. A lot of people felt he won. I will say the consensus was almost correct. It was split down the middle. A lot of people felt one way. A lot of people felt the other way. I felt Marlon won round one. And not by much. Because he won round one early in the round. But Jose came back. And I watched the fight again this morning. Jose came back at the end of round one and finished relatively strong. Starting to find his combinations. Landing the cleaner strikes. But then, okay, Marlon gets round one. Competitive fight. Jose, at the end of the rounds, doing his footwork thing and bobbing his head, letting the fans know, like, yeah, I'm here. I'm letting you guys know I feel good. I feel great. Second round, Aldo comes out more the same, still stalking, still pressuring, slipping, ready to rip. One, ripping that jab, ripping to the body. And the one beautiful combination he throws, the right hand, left shovel hook to the liver. It looked like it hit more of the sternum. Not the sternum, but like the center of the stomach, as opposed to a little bit more off to the side, the right side of Marlon, which would have been closer to the liver. But it was a beautiful work of art either way, just landing the combination in the way he set that up. Now he's still the aggressor, still pushing him forward, pushing back, pushing Marlon back. Marlon's against the cage, circling, displaying that he has really good footwork and good ringmanship, trying not to take too much damage. Eventually gets opened up with the boxing combinations of Jose Aldo. So now we're 1-1 going into the third. And I would say the confidence is obviously being shown more so on Jose's face. And the aura, the energy of the room, the momentum just felt like Aldo was about to do this. He was about to come down to this division and cause havoc for all of us top contenders who were trying to get a crack at the title, or in Marlon's case, get another crack at the title. Now, he's chasing him around all the third round. Can't really touch him, but he does land. He does back Marlon up a lot. Marlon's smiling, trying to play the poker face game. And this is all great tactical things. And sometimes when you're in there, this is what you do without even realizing that's what you're doing and what the purposes of it that you're doing it for. I can tell you, him doing that, I know what's going on. Oh, you're conserving energy because if you get into too early of an exchange in this round, you might be exhausted by time the last minute, where Aldo can pick it up again and show that he's winning the round. Because clearly what Aldo did in the first 4 minutes of that round, because Marlon only started opening up at the last minute of the third round. He went for the spinning wheel kick. He went for the low kick. He shifted his stance to southpaw, then came with a darting left hook, a left straight. Bounced out again. Stiff jab. The left to the fake cross into the right leg head kick. Right side head kick. And you can tell that was the plan all along. Conserve the energy, and let's take this on points and let the judges decide. Now, he might not have been thinking about it like that. He might not have even thought that the round was that close. He probably thought he wasn't getting hit, and he probably thought he stole it at the end. But he did steal it at the end. But for me, I don't disregard 4 minutes of work versus a minute of work where you almost landed the same amount of strikes that your opponent landed in the first 4 minutes of work. Which one is more significant? Are you more impressed with the guy who had a quick explosion, or the guy who controlled more length of time and did the same amount of damage? I tend to lean towards the guy who had more control time. I won more time of the fight. Yeah, you might have ended stronger, kind of, per se, based on whoever is looking at it. But in my eyes, I thought Aldo did enough to win, but I was not upset that Marlon won. I'm actually happy Marlon won because it's better for us. Marlon reclaims his spot, his throne at the number 1 seed. I can keep my spot at number 2. Hopefully this Monday we don't have the rankings where Aldo comes in and bumps me down. I wouldn't really understand exactly how that would make a ton of sense. But this is the UFC and anything could happen. I don't control these things. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to fight it. It is what it is. I can only do my part. Get healthy and come back and fight and get ready for the next one. And hopefully the next one's a 5-rounder. But other than that, I thought it was a great fight. Aldo answered a lot of questions. I think Marlon did better with his cardio, being more conservative and not shooting his load too early on. Even though he came out firing in that first round. That switch kick was nasty. And then he did it again where he looks down and he just whips it up. He goes for the switch, he's looking down, he switches and kicks up. So now if you're watching his eyes, which a lot of people do, it's almost like basketball when he said, don't look in the eyes, don't look at the hands, follow the hips. And that's typically what I do. I don't even make eye contact with my opponents. I typically only look for a split second to see what I'm feeling from them. Okay, now I'm on my bike and I'm moving, and now I got my eyes on the center chest abdomen area. I want to feel everything. I want to know like what's coming at me. And he did a good job, and Aldo did a really good job of keeping that right hand high. And even from Marlon's left hook and his left switch kick seems to be his best punches. He does a good job of throwing that feint and coming with that right uppercut right up the middle, but his other hand, his left, is always out of the way. Almost always. And because of that, in that first round, Aldo did crack him and stun him with a straight cross. Cracked him and stunned him with the straight cross in the second round as well. And in the third round, it looked like he was going to find him again. He did land again, but not as cleanly as he did in the first and the second round. Other than that, man, it was a great fight. I know Moraes talked a little bit of shit saying that I'm a guy he doesn't like. I mean, he's not really talking shit. He's saying what he feels. He says he doesn't like me. He said he would like to take away my chances of ever fighting for a title. I don't know. I don't know what I did to him, but apparently it was enough to get under his skin. He seems to be a lot more sensitive than I actually thought. So if he's bothered by me, I could only imagine what he was bothered by with Henry in that lead up for that fight. We're going to eventually fight again. So whether or not you like me, I really don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, you will respect me. And that's the difference. You will respect me. I respect anybody who steps in there. I have no hard feelings towards anyone that talks shit to me. There are a few guys in this division that rub me the wrong way, and I would like to just give them a smack. But at the end of the day, we're all fighting for the same shit. We're all trying to make money. And if you don't like my character, you don't gotta like my character. But this character is not gonna change. And you're gonna have to deal with me as long as I'm here winning and in the UFC. So you can suck on these. Mother sucker. Next fight. Amanda Nunes versus Jermaine Duraname. Great fight. But before we go there, let's take a quick look at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off all their manscaping, men grooming supply. Get everything that you need. I got the ball deodorant. You can take that. You use that when you get out the shower, fresh out. Keep you fresh. It will control your pH levels. Then we have the crop reviver. You use this when you had kind of a long day and you need to spice it up real quick because you never know if you might get some action. A couple of spritz gets it nice and smooth. I don't know. I try to find something that rhymes, but I can't think of anything. We have our body wash, Manscaped body wash. Remember, this is all 20% off with my discount code FUNKMASTER at checkout. And then we have the lawnmower 2.0. Use it in the shower. Nice and easy. Now, this is my favorite buzzer that I use. It gets the job done. And for those guys who like to shave it, you could use it in the shower. Shockproof. You're not going to mess anything up. I use it in the shower. It makes shaving so much easier. Trimming so much easier. And we got the plow for all you guys who actually shave. Shave your facial hair. I don't shave, I trim. So go check those guys out. Manscaped.com. They're a good friend of ours in the show. So show those guys some love. Manscaped.com. All right, Jermaine Duraname. Great fight. Amanda Nunes. Now, Amanda said something very, very interesting. She said Duraname's takedown defense was actually worse than the first time they fought, which is, I find hysterical. Because it was. I felt like she was taking her down at will, and that's a 6-year gap. You would think the stuff that caused you to lose the first fight would have been on the forefront of things that you need to work on so that you can prepare for a woman beast like Amanda Nunes. That fight could have possibly been stopped. Although I would have been upset about it, it could have been stopped. She was eating a lot of punches on the forearm. She wasn't moving. She did land an up kick here and there. But, people were going nuts over the Colby fight. And we're going to get there in a second. But for people to see all of that and then not realize, she was just doing the same thing 2 fights ago. I was really concerned about it because I thought the ref might jump in eventually. But again, those punches were landing on her forearms. She was covering. She was intelligently defending herself. Whatever that means. I mean, if I'm covering up and I'm getting my head still rattled around like a bobblehead, pest head, the fight should be stopped. That's not intelligently defending yourself. Yeah, I'm blocking, but I'm getting cracked. I'm getting hurt. She wasn't getting hurt. She was blocking. She was there. If they had stopped the fight and she got up, she wouldn't have been woozy. She wouldn't have been wobbling, stumbling, nothing. She would have just been up. And you could see it when the round ended and she got up. She was fine. Very good fight for Amanda. I think she almost got her out of there in the first round. Shot her load a little bit, which got her to fatigue. Lactic acid. She slowed down the pace. And what's interesting to me? When we're training for these fights and we do those drills on the dummy bag or the punching bag and we got it on the floor and we're grounding, pounding it for 2-3 rounds. And then we get into a fight and we have one of these moments where we get this adrenaline dump. It's super confusing because I'm like, how do we get tired from this one moment? A 1 minute burnout compared to the burnouts we do in the gym. And I'm like, our stress levels and our anxiety level has to go so high through the roof that it drains our battery exponentially compared to in the training room. It's a very fascinating thing. And that's why I always say you gotta overdo what you're doing to just make sure that you are going to be well prepared when you step in that octagon. I know Amanda Nunes had a couple questions asked to her at the post-fight presser, asked about Clarissa Shields and her saying, I'm not going to come to her world, she can come to my world. If I'm going to box her, I'm going to need more than $1 million. And I think she's fair for that. Because these guys, they realized James Toney came to the UFC Fort Ringington tour and got tooled by a much smaller man. And now, we had Conor McGregor go fight Mayweather. He did good. He did good. I think Mayweather carried him a bit. I won't say too much. Let me not say carried him, because that's a strong word. I would say Mayweather let him stay in the fight and punch himself out longer. He could have probably picked up the pace on him to tire him out more, but that also increases his risk of running into a long strike, jab, cross, hook from Conor. So the fight went longer than it probably should have, because Mayweather was the bigger guy with the much longer reach. So similar situation. I think these guys are starting to realize, like, these guys can kind of crack. And if I come to their world and I only have 6 months to a year to prepare with my wrestling, things might not go my way. So why not try to lure them in with big money to come fight me in boxing? But that's not really a win for you. It's not a challenge. It's more a challenge for us. If you could come in to us to a real fight, not a limited fight, a real fight, and prove something, that says a lot. But so far, none of these boxers want to do any of that. And for rightful reasons. Because it would get ugly and fast. There's not much to be said about this fight. I don't know who else is going to be next for Amanda Nunes. I actually have to take a look at the females bantamweight division just to even get an idea of who's on a winning streak and who should be next in line. But I'm super excited for her, man. She's just been on a tear ever since that one loss, and she's come back, and she's just looked like unstoppable. If she didn't fatigue herself so early in the fight, maybe she could have slowly but surely depleted May and eventually got her out of there. But we'll never know. May is tough, and she was fighting for a world title for a reason. Next up, our title fight with Max Bless Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, unanimous decision, 48-47, 48-47, and 50-45. One judge said no. Alex won all 5 rounds. Ooh, how crazy is that? He won all 5 rounds to one judge. 2 judges thought Max won 2. And one of those rounds, if it slightly goes the other way, Max retains his title. Now, Volkanovski he looked great. He was striking well. He struck. Yeah. He struck well with Holloway, and that's his department. He chewed up his leg early in that first round. I know Max said he was trying to feel him out, and because everyone kept talking about his strength, and I did feel he was a little bit concerned with that, just based on how he was fighting. He didn't really open up that much in the first at all, and Volkanovski had an opportunity to go to town on his legs, inside leg kick, outside leg kick, slowed down Max, and eventually Max started to switch to southpaw. And I think if Max was hitting him with more switch stances, that fight could have been a lot different if he'd done that early on. But he did that so late in the fight that I think all the damage that set in from the early leg kicks already started paying dividends. I know Volkanovski was he's a gamer, man. He was talking to him almost the entire time that he was in there before he was probably starting to slow down. And Max had the talking start to stop. But if you're in there and you're talking, you got to be feeling confident. You got to be feeling confident as all ever. And I'm excited to see who Volkanovski takes on next because he's had a hell of a run. Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, and now arguably the greatest featherweight of all time in my book, Max Holloway. Now, I don't know if anyone has been on such an impressive run of taking on top contenders like Volkanovski has. I can't think of anybody else who's done that. I know you got Izzy, but Izzy did fight. He fought Gastelum. Before that, he fought Silva. He fought Brunson. Those are good guys, but it's not the top echelon. Even though the Silva fight was entertaining, but it wasn't. I wouldn't consider that a fight like Chad Mendes versus Volkanovski. Volkanovski versus Jose Aldo. Silva, at the end of his career, he's taken a lot of losses. So for you to put that in the same category, I think is rather hard. Not saying you can't, but I do think it's rather hard to compare the two. And that's why I think no one has been on a run like Volkanovski. I think it's just different. I think it's his time right now. And I think he's hot. And I do think if they run it back, the results are going to be completely different. I think Max addresses the leg kicks. Or maybe even Volkanovski gets a takedown. We don't know. He couldn't get him down in this fight. And he outstruck Max for the most part. Being a much shorter guy. And he's got balls, man. For a guy who's 5'6", to take on a guy like that, beat him at his own striking game, and not really take a ton of damage is very, very impressive. Max didn't take a ton of damage in the face, but his legs took a pretty good beating. And I'm not sure if it was enough to say, he's going to be on crutches after the fight, but it was enough to slow him down, score enough points in the judge's eyes, and get the nod. I'm leaning closer to a 48-47. I did think Volkanovski won for sure, and he earned it, man. He put a lot of work, a lot of time in, a lot of sacrifice to go from, a 214? I thought he said 240 before in the countdown show. Either way, 214 or 240. He was a big boy coming down, completely dedicating his life to MMA. And look where he is now. He won a world title and brought it home to Australia. And I know he's training over at City Kickboxing with those guys, Israel Adesanya, Kai France, and Dan Hooker. Now, our next fight. Kamaru Usman beats Colby Covington in what was nothing short of exciting. I know they won the fight of the night, and rightfully so. So let's go down with the series of events. First, let's break this down. Round one. Colby arguably took round one. He lands a flying knee 2 minutes and 32 seconds in. Kamaru comes back with the low kicks. Colby's landing that 1-2. That was round one. Now, I'm not sure if there was any foul in round one. I think it was more so round two. I hope they show it. But I think it might have been round one. But Colby was landing some pretty good strikes. But eventually, Kamaru slips one jab. Colby gets his head out of the way, and Kamaru fires back with a 1-2 down the pipe. But Colby, honestly, I thought he was winning the fight. So a couple of things. There was a lot of fouling going on. Dana White said it. I said it the same moment it happened. The body kick that Colby Covington landed on Usman was not low. Now, some people were arguing, but the foot swiped up. You throw a kick and it swipes up. The fuck are you talking about? The kick landed on the belt. It's not boxing where the belt is, the top of the shorts are over the belly button and you can't really tell. Kamaru Usman's shorts and his belt line, you can see exactly where they fall. Now, if you watch that frame by frame in slow motion, you will see that it was a legit kick. The pinpoint accuracy of him landing it on the belt makes it feel like you've been kicked in the dick. Now, I could be wrong that maybe some of it might have touched the cup. Might have. But either way, the placement of the kick where he threw it was legal. Whether Kamaru's moving or Colby's moving and that changed the brushing of the cup, I didn't see it. I didn't see a brushing of the cup. It landed right on the belt line, and that is a legal strike. And it hurts. It hurts because I don't want to make it seem like Usman was playing it up. It was a legitimate shot. Like I said, the shot hurts. And again, if it hits you right above the belt line, it feels like you were kicked in the dick. But it's not. It's such a low abdomen shot that you feel a shockwave through everything. Try that. Let someone fucking punch you or whack you right across the belt and tell me if it doesn't feel like you got kicked in the dick. It's a legal strike, though. Colby should not have been faulted for that. Okay, whatever. It happened. Colby and Usman get the break. More so for Usman. He gets to recover, but it was a legal strike. 100%. You guys can say whatever the fuck you want, but in the rule book, that is a legal strike. And had they been able to watch the replay, they probably would have said the same thing. I mean, there's a reason why Dana's saying it, there's a reason why I'm saying it, and there's a reason why a bunch of other people are saying it too. And again, it's nothing about Usman. It's just the feeling that you get. You're like, holy shit, I feel like I got kicked in the nuts. Because it does feel like you got kicked in the nuts. But again, it's a legal strike. Okay. Now, Usman gets poked. Colby's finger almost gets completely inserted, in terms of his entire finger almost completely inserts into Usman's eyeball. Wow. Now that was legitimate. He should have gotten time for that, which he did. Now, that's fair and all, but then we see another similar moment where Colby thinks he got poked in the eye, but I think it was more so a punch. The ref tells him, hey, no more timeouts. Okay. That's fair, but you can't give one guy a break for the eye poke and the other guy not a break for the eye poke. And not even a break, time to recover. You know? You got to be impartial. And that was one of my issues with this fight. I felt a couple things were starting to get a little bit wacky, and the way the fouls were being handled was one of them. At this point, I already thought Usman was battling back. I thought Colby was starting to wilt a little bit with the pressure. I think Usman showed that he could be more durable. And I think Colby might have not thought that as hard as he was hitting Usman, he might have thought he could have probably sat him down, because he was saying he was going to knock him the fuck out. And he was putting some power into those shots. The best that Colby has ever shown power striking, I should say. He threw a lot of looping shots instead of coming straight down the middle. I have a tendency to doing the same thing. I don't always throw straight punches. My straight sometimes in the middle of a fight, compared to me hitting pads, sometimes comes out a little loopy. Colby was doing the same thing. It might be a wrestler thing, because the one time Kamaru was able to do the same thing and actually come down the middle. I mean, he did land a couple straights more than Colby, but the one straight that he really, really landed was the one that broke Colby Covington's jaw. And that was in the second round. So while they were in exchanges, Colby throws a 1, Kamaru throws a 1, and the 2 fires right off of his chin. Bing! And Colby gets cracked backwards, flush on the jaw. You can see the jaw twist. You don't know if his jaw is broken at that same exact moment, but he goes to the corner, he discloses it to his cornerman, and he lets them know. Now, my thing is, was that in the second or was that in the third? That's the one part I don't really know. Because I felt like his coaches told him, like, you only have 2 more rounds to go with the broken jaw. And that would obviously mean that the fight, that break happened in the third round. But either way, here we are. Watching this in the 4th round, 3 minutes, 10 seconds left. Colby both landing some good strike. He comes back with a straight cross, uppercut up the middle. And he's still battling back, eating some big shots. It looks like he stumbles Kamaru. Colby looks like he stumbles Kamaru at the 1 minute and 9 second mark of round 4 with a 2-2-3-2. Let's see if that was the exact combination. 2-3-2. Comes loopy again, but you could tell that was meant to be a cross. Now, here's where everything goes downhill. I had the fight 2-2. 2 rounds Colby, 2 rounds Usman. Whoever takes this round is going to win the fight. Colby has a broken jaw. The fact that he's able to stay in there and battle with a beast like Kamaru Usman is insane and impressive as all fuck. I don't care about none of the Donald Trump shit. I don't care about none of the Brazil shit. I don't care about none of the trash talk. None of the girls, the bedroom cardio. We're talking about the skill right now. The toughness, the durability that Colby Covington showed and displayed. Kamaru also. He showed he could take a shot. He showed he could walk through punches. Again, Colby's not the biggest power puncher, but Kamaru showed when a guy lands a square one, he can eat it and he could take it as much as he can dish it. But now we're in the 5th round, 2 rounds apiece. Both these guys got to make a claim. Someone's got to make the great last push to win the fight. And that last man is Kamaru Usman, who was able to retain his title at UFC 245. Now, we have less than 4 minutes on the clock. Now, we have it's a minute and 43 seconds. Yep, minute 43 seconds. Kamaru staggers Covington with a right cross. Colby bounces off the cage. He looks like he's trying to smile. Tries to come back to center. He throws a looping left, almost like overhand. Kamaru is slipping. He shovels to the body and digs. And that's the other thing. We didn't talk about the body shots. The body work of Usman. Usman was digging to the body over and over and over again. And I can tell that those were paying dividends. Everyone could tell that those were paying dividends. MMA, we're wearing these small gloves. If you're boxing and you could make someone pay with body shots, with those bigger gloves, imagine what it feels like to get hit with 4-ounce gloves on your hands by a guy who's probably 190 pounds on fight night. It does not feel good, especially when they're clean strikes to the body. Liver shot, solar plex, abdomen, they all suck. Now, I'm looking, we don't have the finish. Cody Murrow. I thought we had the finish on here. Either way, fuck the finish. I got the finish in my head. Now, here's my thing. Kamaru is gonna finish the fight. I'm gonna put up the finish right here. Either way, gonna mute that, and we're gonna find the finish. Okay, we're going into the 3rd. Boom. Here's the finish right here. Now, Kamaru cracks Covington. Where are we? Come on, show me. Why are we having difficulties with this? Why are you guys making my life difficult? Okay. Where's the clock? How much time is left on this clock? Okay, now they're battling. They're circling with each other. Henry Hoof in the corner, waving on Usman. Keep going, keep going. Kamaru throws a 1. He misses, but the cross finds Covington's nose, sits him down. He staggers backwards. He's looking up at Usman as he's walking over like the Terminator. He turns over to his right, rolls over in turtle position, spins, gets back up. Kamaru's throwing strikes, but he's missing. He swings a big left hook. Colby gets out of the way, covers his head, and slips out of the way. He palms Usman to get back to the front. He's circling back to the right, circling to the right. He gets tagged again with a short right from Usman. He's trying to throw, but these are now just arm slapping punches. No power on it whatsoever. Kamaru staggers him again with a big right, sits him down on his butt. He follows up. Covington dives in on the leg as Kamaru gets closer. Kamaru throws an elbow to the back of Covington's head. Now, do I need to remind you guys how devastating those elbows are to the back of the head? We've seen Travis Brown fight multiple guys and make a name for himself, just elbowing guys repeatedly. Once they're headed down, he stuffs the head and comes over the top with elbows. And if one of them hits the back of the neck, your lights go out so fast. It's no wonder these strikes are illegal. Now, again, Kamaru was on his way of finishing this fight. There was a minute on the clock. It does not fucking matter. All I care about was warn him for the illegal strikes, let the fight continue, and let him legitimately get him out of there. He was going to anyway. But you kind of robbed us to see if Colby could have toughed it out even more, or was he going to find that exit button and hit the quit and just say, you know what, I'm out of here. You know, it looked like he was going to try to stay on and hang on for dear life. Yes, he would have taken more damage. I know this. This is what he signed up for. We knew if the fight turned into this, a battle of the feet, this could potentially happen. So why are we so concerned now? Colby's not concerned. It is the ref's job to protect the fighter. But it's also the ref who comes into the back room and tells us before each and every time we step in the cage in the octagon, fighter, I'm going to let you know if you're in trouble and I'm not liking what I'm seeing, I'm going to give you a command. Move, fighter. Show me something, fighter. Show me you want to stay in there, fighter. And they let you know. I'll say 2, maybe 3 times. And if I say it again, that's letting you know that I'm getting ready to step in. And if you really want to be there, you need to do something to show that you are intelligently defending yourself. That's what the fans don't get. These are the things the refs tell us each and every time before we step into the cage, before we step into the octagon. This is in the rule book. You're supposed to intelligently defend yourself. Now, what intelligently defending yourself looks like to me might look different to you. Might look different to Mark Goddard, clearly. Might look different to Herb Dean, clearly. We've seen Herb fuck up. We've seen Mark Goddard fuck up. We've seen Big John McCarthy fuck up. No one's perfect. We're all human beings. It's just, as fans, we get disappointed and bummed out when we get robbed of things that we pay money for. Now, I'm not saying this was the worst thing ever. Because again, Colby was on his way of losing this. If the round was 2-2, he got dropped 2 times in this fight, ground and pounded. This was definitely a 10-8 round. He was going to lose the fight. But that's not what I give a fuck about. I just want more consistency across the board. Mark Goddard is right here, loaded up, ready to step in. But Kamaru is trying to tee off, but nothing's connecting. Yeah, we know Colby's hurt. Now, as a ref, you should be there. Yeah, you're concerned, and you're making sure you see what strikes are connecting and where. Very important. Just because he's hurt doesn't mean you start letting the guy go crazy to get the finish and be blinded of his accuracy of his strikes. That's not fair and that's not right. Not okay. Not okay. And again, this is nothing against Kamaru. He's doing his job. It's the ref's job to make sure he's officiating and refereeing both guys and making sure it's a clean and legal fight. A clean fight, that's what we want. Now, Colby's on the double. Kamaru lands the very first strike and it's in his armpit. Boom. Okay, if I'm the ref and I see that, I know he's hurt, I know he's been dropped, but he got punched in the armpit, he's on a double leg. Looks like he's trying to stay in the fight to me. I think he's trying to stay in the fight. Mark, you got to understand the difference. And Mark, you're a great ref, but you have to understand the difference between intelligently defending yourself and when you're doing jack shit and you're just there. Colby's not just there. He had a broken jaw since the second round. And you're telling me he's not trying to fight through this right now? What are we talking about right now? Oh, the ref knew he had a broken jaw, so he was trying to save him. What do you guys want him to take more punishment? Dude, he just got cracked with a 1-2 down the middle twice. Got sat on his butt twice. He tried to get it both times. The first time he got back up, he had success. The second time he got sat back down, he tried to go on a double leg. He's trying to fight through it. Colby's not a fucking pussy. Clearly he's not. He may be a knucklehead, and not everyone might like this act, but you have to respect his craft. You have to respect his toughness. and what he brings to the table. He's got all of us invested into watching this fight. That's why we're still talking about it today. That's why my tweet had almost 700 retweets, which is insane. Because I could be impartial. I like what Kobe's doing. I'm not a Kobe fan, but I do like watching him fight. And I think it's entertaining that he's bringing more eyeballs to the table. When Conor McGregor was doing it, when he was talking about dads and religion and race, wasn't a problem. It might have been, but we didn't make a big deal about it like we're doing about Colby Covington. It's the craziest fucking things. Sometimes I really don't understand people. Like, we let one get away with this, but we go batshit crazy when another man does it. It's like, what is this, like Bizarro Land? What are we talking about here? Now remember, the first strike landed in the back of Colby Covington's armpit. And I'm walking you guys through this right now. Second strike he throws, back of the head. Colby's left hand, his right hand's holding his leg. Usman's hips are rotated almost perpendicular to the ceiling. His left hand is just hugging his leg. It's not even hooking. It's just on his leg. His right knee is to the ceiling. His hips are up. He takes his right hand. He throws a hammer fist from hell. Now, I don't even want to call it from hell because it wasn't like that devastating. It didn't look like he put that much behind it. But it still hit him in the back of the head. If you walk down the block and your dad, you say something stupid as a child, and your dad clocks you in the back of the head and gets full palm, yo, it feels like someone took a baseball bat and hit you with a sledgehammer. Well, a baseball bat. Hit you with a baseball bat in the back of your head. It does not feel good. Your lights go out really quick. So imagine being in this situation. You're hurt already. You get clapped in the back of your head. You still have to honor that is an illegal strike, and you should warn the fighter. Now, you can't really hear if Mark was or not, but no one's talking about it. So I think it's safe to assume that Mark Goddard did not warn him to stop hitting his opponent in the back of the head. But that lands clean. That's one strike to the back of the head. He throws another one to the back of the head. Kobe's head is dipped down. His left arm is up. There's no way Kamaru is hitting him in the ear. Are you guys fucking crazy and that delusional that you hate Kobe that much that you can't realize what's going on? Don't let your hate blind you from the facts. It's that simple. It's black and white. Was it a legal shot or was it a legal shot? It's right here in front of your eyes. If you really want to see it, it's right there. It's not going anywhere. It's recorded in history. That's 2 strikes in the back of the head. The third strike hits his armpit. Remember, Kobe's arm is still up. Kamaru makes an adjustment. He goes underneath Kobe's arm because Kobe is smart. He's still there. I'm defending myself. He's not hitting me. He's hitting me in the back of my head. The ref should hopefully say something and make him adjust. Maybe give me some time to recoup, catch my breath, and maybe I can finish this double leg, or maybe I can pull guard, or maybe I can get this single leg, come back to my feet, and survive the rest of this last minute of this fight. All these thoughts are racing through our heads. Boom, 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 boom. You got to make these split-second decisions. No one wants to have a finish on the record. I'll take a decision all day. I lost my decision. It just wasn't my night. He got off this. I could have done that better. No, you got finished. That's definitive. No one wants that. Nobody. As fighters, it's an ego thing to not get finished. To go through your whole MMA and UFC career and say you've never been finished, that's impressive. Not many guys are going to be able to do that. There aren't. Remember, third strike, it goes underneath. He finds Kobe's face. The fourth strike finds Kobe's chin. Now he's sprawling. He's wiggling his hips. He's finding a fifth strike underneath. Now Kobe's got his hand off of his, took his left hand off of Usman's leg. He's covering his head like this. Now his palm is covering his ear and his fingers are almost towards the back of the mohawk. And Usman already threw a strike. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. Let it play. Because people are crazy. Oh, he wasn't answering 14 sentences. Oh, shut up. What are you talking about? If you're going to say something, make sure you know what you're actually talking about. Don't just go start talking shit because you don't like somebody. That's the worst. Here you go. Couple strikes back of the head. Boom, pop. He wiggles his hips. He adjusts. Back of the head. Kobe's hand gets there. He hits his hand, but it's still in the back of the head. And where he's hitting his hand, he's hitting him by his thumb. His thumb is here. I'm looking at it right now. Colby's head is turned. His thumb is here, blocking. He's getting punched. He's trying to soften the blows. Now he's moving. He moved his hand just now, and he put it here, almost like a fist. So now his hand is here. So he's covering his right hand still on his leg. He throws 2 strikes, and then the ref jumps in. I'm gonna rewind it. 1, 2, 3, 4. He threw 5 strikes, and as he throws the 4th strike, the ref is jumping in, and Colby's already moving. So Colby could be playing the game like, oh, I'm moving because the ref is here. And he's showing him that, hey, I was still here. But as soon as Colby gets up, he's not wobbling. He's turning over. And most guys, when they're like, oh, he was fucked up down there, they get up, they stumble all over the place. And you're like, no, that fight was over. Yes, this is a very true thing. But let's call it what it is. That fight should not have been stopped right there in that particular situation. And that's my whole thing. Illegal shots should have been addressed. He heard some of the 2 punches underneath. Punching him in the arm, I don't know. It's just very frustrating to see fans be so like what they are sometimes. And it's unfortunate because we're the ones who have to deal with the ridicule of everything. Now, it's almost ironic that Colby's jaw was broken for as much talking as he's been doing. And Masvidal had some few words to share about that when he tweeted. And, never kick a man while I was down, but kind of saying he deserved it. So we are where we are now. Usman looked great. In comparison to his Woodley fight, this was a lot more dominant. Now, and that's saying something because he dominated Woodley. But this was more dominant with like an exclamation point. It's like my fight with Rivera versus Pedro Munoz. I think my fight with Pedro Munoz was more dominant than it was with Jimmy Rivera. Like, yeah, I dominated the fight with Rivera, but there could have been a couple of things that could have changed that fight as in comparison to the Pedro fight where I pretty much dominated from beginning to end and really didn't give him a chance or opportunity to get in and get started. Kind of a similar thing with this. I mean, there were some back and forth moments, and obviously it's a completely different fight. But what I'm saying, I'm talking his output was crazy in the Woodley fight, but there was a lot of pushing against the cage. There was a lot of like just kind of, shoulder punches. Yeah, he's making a grimy, gritty fight. But in terms of real damage, Woodley looked fine walking out of that cage that night. Colby Covington did not. Kamaru actually got a little bit busted up in this fight. And again, I'm still saying it was more dominant than his fight with Woodley. The fight with Woodley was more control and safe compared to a fight like this with Colby Covington. And that's what's so impressive to me is that it looked like he got to that next level that he was talking about in his interviews and saying this fight could be that one. And I think he was 100% right. And I'm super excited to see what happens with him next. I think the next fight with him has to be either a Leon Edwards, a Jorge Masvidal. Who else is there? I mean, you got Ponzinibbio, but I don't think they're going to give him the fight right now. But there's a lot of guys that would make sense, particularly those two. Even a rematch with Woodley, but I know they want to do Woodley and Colby, but Colby's going to have to take some time off, significant time off to let that jaw heal and then get back to training in order to even take a fight. So that's where we're at with that. And I think both these men's stock went up tremendously. All the build-up, all the hype. Dana White said it best. Most grudge matches end up being rather boring, but this was a great one. TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt, a great one. We've seen Rampage and John Jones. We've seen John Jones and Rashad Evans. Not all grudge matches are equal, but this was one for the books that actually went down great. So, on that note, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, if you like my shit, subscribe to my shit. Tell a friend, drop a comment, check out the YouTube channel. Please, if you guys can, just take a moment to subscribe or even leave a review on iTunes. That would be much appreciated because it helps other people find the podcast because a lot of people don't know I have a podcast. I'm going to try to post more content more frequently to kind of get the word out there that I actually do this. We're going to break this down into individual segments, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown as much as I enjoyed doing it. And Dana White, you are absolutely crazy for thinking that Jose Aldo did not lose, so he should get the next title shot against Henry Cejudo. That's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And if that's the case, I might as well just start acting like a clown and really going full on Colby Covington myself. Because the fuck are we talking about here? You didn't lose, you lost. You don't hear me talking about my 2 split decision losses? Like I should have gotten, I should be fighting for a world title. Those fights I didn't. What are we talking about? I lost. Yeah, I always say the fight could have gone the other way, but you never hear me calling out a guy who's coming off of split decision losses or saying like I had 2 split decision losses, so I should be fighting for a world title. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? All right, guys. Thank you guys again for tuning in. The weekly scraps every week. I see you guys next week. Actually, I'm going to do the UFC Busan very, very soon, and that's going to be a separate segment, so stay tuned for that. Peace and love.